What does it mean to keep track of something? If you're a parent, if you're a fitness or nutrition enthusiast, or if you make really detailed budgets, then you know what it's like to keep track of something. You might even keep close track. And that's what you'll learn on today's episode. Hi, I'm Jeff, and this is Essential English Expressions, where you learn step by step how to use the expressions and phrasal verbs that will make your English come alive. In this episode, you'll learn how to use the expression keep track of. I'll give you a quick preview. It's all about organizing information and staying informed. But you need to know exactly how to use it, and you will know after you listen to today's episode. Before we dive into the expression, I wanted to remind you that each episode of Essential English Expressions has a webpage with a transcript, translations of keywords, a quiz, and a full-speed version of this audio. There's also a practice area where you can use the expression in a sentence and get personal feedback from me. To get all that, just click the link in the show notes. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Keep track of is an expression that means to organize information or stay up to date so you understand what's going on. We've all had times when we missed something important because we weren't paying attention or didn't write down the details. That's what happens when we don't keep track of things. In today's episode, I'll show you 2 ways to use keep track of. The first definition is about writing down or typing up information to refer to later. The second definition is more general. It's more about staying informed. And then, toward the end of the episode, we'll talk about a few variations on keep track of. The most common way to use keep track is when we're talking about organizing information or details. This kind of keeping track means gathering, writing down, typing up, entering, or saving important information. Here's a great example. I keep track of what books I read. I do that on an app called Goodreads. I keep track of the books by entering them into the app. I just finished a book called Long Island by Colum Tabine. Great book, by the way. I entered it in Goodreads. I started a book called Wednesday's Child. I entered it in Goodreads. I'm keeping track of my books. I'm keeping track of my books so that I don't accidentally buy or borrow a book I've read before. So in this case, keep track is about entering, saving, and organizing information. These days, we often keep track of things in apps, on websites, or in computer files. But that's not the only way to keep track of things. If you've ever had to take multiple medications at the same time, you know that it can be difficult to remember what to take and when. If you have 2, 3, or 4 medications that all need to be taken at different intervals, well, that can get confusing fast. It's important to keep track of your medications so you don't accidentally miss a dose, take something twice, or take something at the wrong time. So how can you keep track of your medication? You may have seen weekly pill boxes with different compartments for each time of day. That's a great low-tech way to keep track of your medications. You can use an app. You can use a pill box. You can use paper and pencil. But it's important to keep track of what you're taking so you don't miss a dose. Another great example is fitness tracking. Some people like to keep track of their exercise routines. You might see people at the gym keeping track of their workouts with a small notebook and pencil. Some people use an app called Strava to keep track of how far they've run, how far they've gone on their bike, or how many laps they've done in the pool. I use a fitness app called Strong. It helps me see when I've exercised and what I've done each time. I keep track of which exercises I do, how much weight I lift, how many repetitions I can do. I enter and save the information. I keep track with the app. Some people keep track of their spending. I used to keep track of my spending in an Excel spreadsheet, but now there are apps that connect directly to your bank accounts. That makes it so much easier to keep track of your spending. So when we talk about keeping track of things in this way, it's all about organizing and saving important information or details. Another way to use keep track of is to talk about staying informed, staying up to date with something, even if we don't write down the details. This way of keeping track is more about being aware of the latest updates, knowing what's going on. It's less about organizing and saving information. Many parents like to keep track of their kids' school assignments. Does this mean they write down every assignment? Write down every due date? Not necessarily. Most parents don't do that. Keep track here means the parents stay informed. They make sure they're aware of what's going on. They ask questions and check grades. They look over their kids' shoulders as they do their homework. They pay attention to announcements from the school. This is how parents keep track of their kids' progress. They stay informed. In your social life, it works the same way. Let's say you have a big extended family and everyone has busy schedules. You probably don't get to see everyone as often as you'd like, but you can keep track of what's going on in their lives with social media, group chats, texting, calling from time to time, and holiday visits. Keeping track of what's going on in the lives of your friends and family just means you stay connected and stay informed. Your job might require you to stay informed about a particular topic. If you're a tax accountant, you'll want to keep track of the latest changes in the tax laws, like that. Now, there are a few variations of keep track that you should know. Let's start with keep close track of. When you keep close track of something, you're keeping track in a very detailed way. It's like you're a detective and you can't miss any details. You carefully monitor every little detail, every piece of data, and you notice even the smallest change. So this phrase is perfect for situations where every detail counts. I don't do this all the time, but there are times when I keep close track of my nutrition. I use the app called MyFitnessPal, and I enter everything I eat during the day. Everything. I keep close track of what I eat. I don't let myself miss a detail. Every calorie goes in the app. It's not easy. I'm weighing my chicken, measuring my oatmeal, and counting the olives that I add to my pasta. I keep close track. This is no way to live in the long run, but I do keep close track during certain times. Next up, keep better track of. When someone says they need to keep better track of something, the person is admitting that he or she has room for improvement. A person might say, I need to keep better track of my spending this month so I don't go over my budget. That means the person needs to do a better job at keeping track. A few years ago, I missed some important calls and meetings, like 2 or 3 in the same month. I just totally forgot about them. And so I said to myself, I need to keep better track of my appointments. And then I started using my calendar more. Finally, you can say lose track. Lose track is the opposite of keep track. It means you've stopped following something, usually by accident. You might lose track of something because you got distracted or because you weren't paying close enough attention in the first place. The most common way to use lose track of is with time. When you lose track of time, you look at your watch and find out it's later than you thought. Imagine you start work at 8 o'clock and you have a 10:30 a.m. call. No problem, right? You start working, get on a good roll, cross things off your to-do list, but then you look at the clock and it's already 10:45. What happened? You lost track of time. You weren't aware of what time it was. Have you ever had to do the same thing over and over at work? I sure have. It's important to keep track, even keep close track of what you have done. Imagine you have to review 30 files. Here's a nightmare scenario. What if you get through about half of them, go home for the night, and then the next morning you discover that you've lost track of which ones you've done? That's bad. Then you'd have to go back and do them all over again. So you don't want to lose track. You don't want to lose track of what you've done. Just to review what you've learned, keep track of can mean to organize and save information, like how I keep track of my exercise routine in an app. Keep track of can also mean to stay informed about a person or a topic, like how an accountant keeps track of changes in the tax laws. Keep close track means to keep track in a detailed way. Keep better track means to do better at keeping track. And then remember, lose track is the opposite of keep track. There's someone important at Plain English that I haven't mentioned yet. That's JR. He's the producer of Essential English Expressions, and he keeps track of which episodes I've recorded, when they need to be published, and when the emails need to go out. So a big thank you to JR for keeping close track of everything here at Essential English Expressions. I hope you're enjoying Season 1 of Essential English Expressions. If you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to the podcast because we're already working on Season 2. I don't want you to miss any essential expressions. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. Keep up the great work in English. Congratulations on learning another essential English expression. Now, you're ready for the next step. Click the link in the show notes to read the transcript, listen to the fast version of the audio, take a quiz, practice what you learned, and even get human feedback on your work. Essential English Expressions is made by Plain English. Plain English is the modern, fun, and effective way to improve your listening, speaking, vocabulary, and writing. See how quickly you can improve. Sign up for free at plainenglish.com. Hey, you're still listening. That's good, because I have a small favor to ask of you. Would you take just a few seconds to leave a rating in your podcast player? Here's why I'm asking. Essential English Expressions is a new podcast, and I worked really hard on it. I personally spent over 150 hours creating this first season, and I made it totally free. I can only afford to make more episodes if this first season is a success. So that means I need ratings and reviews to spread the word. So if you think I deserve it, give the show a 5-star rating in the app you're listening on right now. If you're on Apple Podcasts, you can also leave a comment in your review. If you're on Spotify, you can rate the show and leave a comment right in this episode. You can do that in English or in your own language. It doesn't matter. Thanks so much in advance. I really appreciate the help.